Hi everyone, my name is Britton LaTulip. Welcome to the Art of Raising Children for Greatness. If you are new to this group, double welcome. Tonight's an exciting night. Hopefully you've watched some of the other videos before this one, but tonight's going to be a big change. Tonight is when we let the lion loose. And if you are wondering what that means, it comes from a quote, one of my favorite quotes from St. Augustine. It says, "The truth is like a lion. You don't have to defend it. You let it loose, and it will defend itself." Hopefully you've heard that quote. Hopefully you've read St. Augustine. But tonight I am going to let loose my lion, and that is my next book, Character. Now, Character's not going to be on Amazon right now. It's not yet, but I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to get it previewed ahead of time. All you're going to have to do is leave a message in the comments saying, "Hey, I'd like a free copy of this book." I'm going to send it to you because I told you this book was going to be out on the 15th. I keep delaying it. We're getting ready for the launch. I want you guys to have it, and I really want to ask a favor. That's if you like the book. I'll be releasing it on Amazon, I believe, next week. Either that or right after Thanksgiving. I think maybe on Black Friday. It'll be free, so you can get a copy, at least the digital version. It'll be free again on Amazon. You'll be able to get it, and then I'm hoping you'll be able to download it and do a verified review for me. I need reviews. That's like my lifeblood on Amazon. So I'm hoping you guys do that for me. And tonight I wanted to read a few excerpts from the book, just a few little things, kind of give you a taste, what your appetite. Whenever I go to these books, these homeschool convention stuff, I used to do a ton of them. I could never sell any books until somebody would come to the table and they'd ask me about my book, and I'd say, "Just open it up. Just read the back cover, open it up, read any page in the book. And if you're not hooked, don't get it." And almost always, if I can get them to open it up and just read a little bit of it, they're hooked. I take topics that should be super boring, like education. And if you've read education, I think it's phenomenal. If you've read Revealing School, that's another book on schooling. What could be more boring? And yet people have told me they've read it in a weekend. It's 470 pages. So I just want to give you a taste so you get excited about it. If you want this book now, a free copy, then message me below and I'll get you a digital copy for free. I think as soon as we get the message, we're probably gonna be sending them out tomorrow. And then I'm hoping you'll get that book read in a week or two, and then you can get a review for me on Amazon. I hugely appreciate it. And then the warning is, whenever you read a great book, and I think this is a great book, okay? There's going to be things that stretch you. There's going to be things that take a week or two or a month or maybe a lifetime to swallow. People have told me that with Revealing School. They're like, "I'm still digesting this. I'm not sure what to think of some of it." And then they come back years later and they're like, "I get it. I believe in it. I'm a true believer." I think Character's going to be that way. Your concept of character has been shaped by whoever's running things. We talked about it in other videos, so you can watch those other videos. I'm not going to get into it again. But they own the publishing houses. They own Hollywood. They own pretty much all of the media. It's all the same people. And they've sold a distorted view of character and how to train your children and how to discipline them. And I would love a copy. I'll be like, "Yes, sweet. Okay, you're going to get one." So me too. I've been looking to get this book out. And you know what? Tonight I was looking through like, oh, what should I read to them? And I got sucked into my own book. I could read this over and over. I love it. It's beautiful. I am an artist, so you know I designed the cover. If you've seen like Dino Hunt and stuff, I do all my illustrations. So I am a legitimate illustrator artist. And when I write a book, I try to make it a work of art. That's why it takes so long. I could pump out the ideas, ram them off like so many other people do, and it's dry and it's not new, but I want it to be beautiful. I want it to be something that you guys read and you can never forget. And some of the images, some of the stories in this book, you'll never forget it, and you'll never look at these concepts the same way. But you've been brought up with the law of attraction and positive parenting and all of these new age movements. And most of you guys, even the churches, has infected the churches. So you'll have preachers writing these books, and they're bestsellers because they're put out by these publishing companies, and they preach this new age philosophy of raising children and spiritualism and just all this stuff, right? Success. That's not what this book is. It's gonna be a new take on stuff. I'm gonna reintroduce the traditional view of raising children for greatness and the traditional view of character. But your parents, your grandparents kind of did some of this, and it seems old and outdated, and you didn't get why it was so powerful, why it worked, right? So I'm going to reintroduce that. In fact, there's a chapter in this book. It's the longest chapter. It's discipline. So many people ask about discipline. This is the chapter. It's the quintessential chapter on discipline that you've ever read. I think it's like 60, 70 pages. It could be its own book just on discipline. My editor read it. She said that's probably the best chapter in the book. Not the most beautiful, not the most powerful. It's not going to make you cry or anything like that. But she's like, it's so well put together. I've never heard this case. we just heard spare the rod, spoil the child. And some of that works, and I believe in that. The problem is you have these studies out now. You have the other side has published all these books of these new age exciting, raising kids on sugar and lollipops, and so to speak, right? And it seems like we've lost the intellectual battle. And I'm going to reintroduce that to you when you get done. Like, you'll understand what spare the rod, spoil the child means. Not the new age version that they're twisting, okay? And you'll understand why it's so powerful. It's probably the best intellectual defense of corporal punishment and let's say traditional discipline that you'll ever read. Okay, but that's not what we're reading tonight. I just want to read you first the back cover and then just a few little snippets. I had to be very careful. I don't want to give anything away. I don't want to give you the climax. I just want to whet the appetite. I want to start by just reading the back of the book. So this is The Art of Raising for Children Greatness series. If you're new, this is a 5-book series. I've released 1 book. This is to get your kids out of the school system and hopefully purge you of the school, the whole mentality. Number 2, education. It's a little shorter. It's education, beautiful, powerful, how to give your kids an elite education like they do in the prep schools. This is the next one. I would say this is the how to raise a godly king, right? Give them powerful, strong, unshakable character. This is the next book, okay? Character. And then the 2 more are coming. Power's coming. And then the final one will be evil or enemy or something. It'll probably just be called evil. I always do one-word titles. I think that this is the quintessential book on character. This is the quintessential book on education. And I wish I would have just called this school to fit the series. I said revealing school. That was way back in the day. I should have just said school. It's the authority on school. Okay. The back of the book. The Art of Raising Children for Greatness. Character. Yes. Your kids can count, but can they muster courage? They can read, but can they persist? They can write, but can they tell the truth? The whole truth? They know a lot, but are they wise? These are important questions to answer because in the world of raising children for greatness, character is king. Character will rule over your children for the rest of their lives. But great character will not form in your child's heart on its own. And unlike academics, character cannot be properly developed by reading textbooks or listening to lectures in a classroom. It won't happen in an afternoon. It is not a class followed by a final exam. Character is a way of life. The lessons begin when your children wake and end when they fall asleep, from the time they are young until they are old. Training character requires much wisdom, but there is little wisdom left. Oh, excuse me. The editor changed that. But there is little wisdom practiced today. Contemporary experts have replaced truth with progressive theory, ignoring all the great Christian virtues except kindness and tolerance. And yet, modern children can hardly be described even as such. In this age of school shootings and mass bullying, the modern world has proved it is no better at training children's character than it is at educating them. The art of raising children for greatness, character, has the wisdom parents so desperately need. It is the wisdom of the great tutors and families of old and the elite prep schools of today, whose children have gone on to shape and rule the world. Read this book. Your children's character depends on it. So that's the back cover, just to get you, hopefully it's a good hook. I just want to get you into the book. Now I want to actually get into the book. I want to read just a little bit. I'm not going to read a chapter, guys. Hopefully this is okay. I actually think I'm a better writer than speaker, so hopefully you guys think so too. Maybe I should just always get on here and read my books. You'll have to let me know what you think. So we got The Parent's Mission. That's a powerful one. I don't want to spoil that. I'm not going to read that one, but that's the introduction to the book. That's really written for you, about you. It's not about your kids at that point. It's about you, your mission as a parent. And I don't think we take it seriously. I mean, I know we love our kids, but I don't think really we understand what's at stake. So that'll be good. I'm not going to read it. Okay, I want to read just a little snippet because I see this quote so often. I have to debunk it today. And I'm just going to read this little bit to get you started. This is the first chapter, first section of the book, besides the introduction, right? Okay, this is chapter 1, character. It's called, this section is called, A Few Good Men, okay? A Few Good Men. I love hearing your insights that aren't in the book. Okay, cool. Yeah, some of us on the book, I think this book is way more thorough than I could ever talk about. And I love the book because it builds my case so much stronger, I think. It's so much stronger than what I can do. I just wing these things, these talks. So I get done and I'm like, oh, I forgot that, or oh, I didn't connect that, or I said 400 times. Even after I tell children, if you can do anything for public speaking, eliminate when they're young. That's the best thing. And everything you say after you eliminate sounds deep and profound and powerful. So eliminate that. And I watch these videos and I say like 500 times. So it kills me. I can't say when I'm reading though. I love that because the ums aren't in there. So character, chapter 1. This is just the introduction, guys. First few paragraphs of character. A few good men. Everyone loves to quote Edmund Burke. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. But this is untrue for the simple reason that when good men see evil, their very nature compels them to do something. If a good man sees starving children, he must feed them, or else he is not a good man. If a good man sees his neighbor assaulted, he must intervene. And if he doesn't, he is what we would call a bad man. Because good men are never indifferent towards evil. Good people do not sit on the sidelines and watch the world go to hell. Remember St. Telemachus, when he visited Rome and witnessed the evil gladiatorial games. The idea of doing nothing could not have crossed his mind. He immediately entered the arena and did not stop protesting until the evil crowd stoned him to death. St. Telemachus was a good man. Good and evil cannot live and let live. They cannot coexist. They cannot tolerate each other. They are mortal enemies. Lions and hyenas are friendly by comparison. Whenever good and evil meet, there is always a battle. Therefore, the triumph of evil in our time is not due to a lack of effort on the part of good men, but a lack of good men. And I'm going to skip, I'll give you the conclusion on this one. I'm going to skip a little bit, a few paragraphs here, and go to the end. America, and even the whole world, is in desperate need of a few good men and women, but they cannot be found, and we cannot hope for them to be born. We have to mold them ourselves by training our children's character for greatness. Okay. Now, I skipped a few paragraphs, and you're probably thinking, wait a second, I'm a good person. I know some good people. Yeah, we do, or we think we're good. You know, reading this book has really been depressing for me because I'm not the man I thought I was. And the more I studied character and the traditional values of character and stuff, you realize, man, I am falling so short. And so we want to raise real champions. And when you get done with this book, it'll help you and it'll show you what you need to do for your kids. Because we're not just raising nice kids, you know. That's not the goal. Jesus wasn't just nice. I wouldn't even say he's nice. He was kind sometimes, but he wasn't a nice guy, okay? So I love that because everybody quotes that all the time. The only thing necessary for the triumph of people, and they post that everywhere. And it's a famous quote by Edmund Burke. I like Edmund Burke. He had some great writings on the French Revolution. So I like Edmund Burke. It's a witty quote, kind of, but if you really dissect it, you think that's not even true. Because if you're not actively fighting evil, you are evil. If you see evil and you walk away, that's the Samaritan, right? The Good Samaritan. You have the Levite, right, and the priest, and they walk by that man who's troubled for fear, for whatever reason. That means they're not good men. Okay? If evil is triumphing in our time, it's not because good men are apathetic. It's we have a lack of good men. And I explain in the book, some of us are not good men because we don't know better. We don't even understand the difference between good and evil anymore. Much of what we do is evil and we think it's good in our time. I didn't understand that. And you read that in the Bible. It says in the last days that people will exchange good and evil. And I thought, but I'm not one of those, you know. And I could point out a few things that everybody else is kind of accepting that I didn't. And then you start to reveal character. And it's going to be, I promise you, this is going to be hard for some of you. And it's hard for me. There's a few chapters like, I shouldn't even write this one. It's going to restore traditional character goodness, traditional character that some of it that's been lost, that we've exchanged for liberty doctrine. And so that's why I think we have a lack of good men. I think there are a lot of people who, they think that they're good, but they think like you should always turn the other cheek, for example. That's good. We should never, you know, we see something evil. We should just, we should be kind and kill it with kindness and appease it and stuff like that. And we think that that's good. We think that's a Christian virtue, but it's not. And I think I was one of those. He was always kind of like, we just need to kind of take it and hope and stuff like that. We never wanted to engage. We thought that, you know, being aggressive wasn't Christian. And so we become evil and we didn't know it. We thought it was a virtue, right? Learning isn't always easy. Yeah, I'm going to say that because, guys, again, I'm going to say this because we have like 5,000 versions of Christianity today, and some of the churches teach different things. I saw a church They're teaching homosexuality in the churches now. They're teaching abortion in some of these churches and stuff. And you're like, okay, probably most of you are like, okay, yeah, those are bad. Our church doesn't do that. There's going to be things that you read in this book that was shocking to me, especially like you get to chastity, and you're not going to like it. And I hope that won't destroy your review for the book, because a great book should stretch you. You don't have to agree with everything. It's still a great book. I don't want to see a review that just focuses on, that's happened to me, that one sentence that they didn't agree with. I'm like, didn't you love the book? Oh yeah, it was great, but that one sentence I didn't agree with. Okay, why'd you write about that in the review? Why didn't you write about the rest? Come on. Anyway, so I like to contradict that because everybody loves that quote, and it's a cool quote. I've quoted it before, Edmund Burke, but I have a different take on it. Okay, the next one. I'm going to read this little love part. It's just a paragraph on love. It's going to give you a different perspective on love. What page is it? 58. Don't worry, guys. This is just a paragraph. My take on love is totally different, guys. When you get done, I mean, people have pre-read this book and were like, I was in tears reading that book. It's the best I've ever read. And we hear everything about love. Every sermon we do in church is about love. Like, if you're a Christian, you're loved to death. Your ears, everything, love, 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 right? And I've had people who've grown up in the church, they read that and they're like, dude, that's the most powerful thing I've ever read. Like, my understanding of love, it has done a 180. Like, I feel enlightened. It's incredible. And it made me cry like every page in that chapter. Because love is super powerful. It's super emotional. And I don't think people get it. We talk about it all the time, but I don't really think we get it. This isn't going to get it. Don't think that this is my conclusion. I just wanted to read this one paragraph from the long chapter on love. And it's important because we teach our kids about love, but I think it's not a genuine love that we're teaching our kids. I don't even think most people understand what love is, even people in the church. So, okay, this is from love, and this is from the subsection, love is powerful. So I do these attributes of love. You've probably heard Paul's attributes, like love is kind, love is patient. Mine's slightly different. I'm not disagreeing with Paul. I'm just looking at it from a different perspective. I think I have 5 attributes of love, and one of them is love is powerful. Love is powerful because it is ferocious. That's not the only reason, okay? I give a whole bunch of it, but this is like one of them. Love is powerful because it is ferocious, but it could not be so ferocious if it wasn't also so fearless. Here is a riddle for you. How do you turn a warrior into a coward? You put his feet to the fire. How do you turn a coward into a warrior? You put his children's feet to the fire. As St. John wrote, there is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear. Love makes us courageous. The militaries of this world have many methods of instilling courage in soldiers, but none of their methods are so effective as true love. Niccolo Machiavelli, once taught the princes of Italy, it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both, proving he clearly did not understand the power of love. Okay, I missed it, guys. That's not actually what I thought I was going to read. But I like that. It was the paragraph above. I like the line. I love lions, so you know. I love lions. This is about love, okay? And this is about lions. That's the part. I didn't mean to read the part I just read you. This is the part I want to read. Okay, I've certainly shown my children. I'm just going to read the 2 paragraphs. I cheated. And I already read 2 others. I cheated. Okay. I certainly show my children the angry. Have you ever heard of the angry side of love? I certainly show my children the angry side of love when they mistreat their siblings. How dare you hurt your brother? Don't you know I love him? Don't you know I love him just as much as I love you? You're going to get a spanking for that. Parents' hugs and spankings both come out of the very same love. This is a hard thing for us to comprehend in this enlightened age of hippie love. But true love is not always gentle and kind. Sometimes love can be ferocious. Watch a gentle lioness with her cubs. Then see how ruthless she is to the hyenas who threaten them. So beware you never find yourself on the wrong end of true love. It could tear you to pieces. I love that. I love that because it's about lions probably, and it's such a different perspective of love, guys. I think it helps us understand God too. When you think of like the Old Testament, you think, oh, he was really harsh and stuff, but he's supposed to be this God of love. We don't understand it. You don't understand love. God is love. So if he did something, it was out of love. So sometimes he destroys people out of love. You think, how is that even possible? Because love is ferocious. If somebody hurts your kids, just think what you'd be willing to do to protect them. Think of that anger that boils up. That comes out of love, and we've lost that. We have this hippie love that wants to roll over, and it's pathetic, and it's weak. Love can be gentle and kind and compassionate. It's charitable. It can also be ferocious. There are stories in here that are so powerful, so amazing, and I can't read them because they literally are like the crux of the chapter. Like, I give it to you, and then I get to that, yes, God is a jealous God. I get to the end, and I want this powerful, powerful story, and I don't want to waste it. I want you to read the whole chapter, and I even hate reading the introduction. I want you to read the whole chapter and then come to the end. My favorite, I'll tell you right now, my favorite chapter section is ends the book, and it's on contentment. And you think, contentment? Well, that's boring. No, it's my favorite chapter. Everything that I read, I'm like, okay, I've read this 100 times. It's the only one that can make me emotional. I will never read it live, but it's the last section of this book is called The Secret to Contentment. And it is the most powerful in the book. I think it changed my whole worldview, just writing it and reading it over and over. And it's the only thing that really makes me emotional. And it's not the beginning. It's the last story. It's just the story. Okay, but right now I'm going to read Courage. I love Courage. This doesn't have lions, but it has kings, which is cool too. This is the beginning of the Courage chapter. And when we think of courage, if you were reading a modern book, they would. I know how they would do this, and they would talk about public speaking, or they'd give you some lame story. Like, this is the quintessential example of courage, of a courage test. Okay, it's not hunting a lion even. It's the quintessential example of a courage test. Here we go. In this section, I have many sections in each chapter. This one is called The Courage of Kings, and it's a true story. On August 22nd, 1485, 2 young men stepped onto a field, each knowing that he would be king or dead before the day was done. The battle began in the darkness and dew of dawn, and it was over before noon. Henry was the man who was supposed to die, since his army was not half of Richard's, and he almost did. They say Richard got within sword's length of Henry before Richard was surrounded by men he believed were on his side. 11 times those traitors slashed Richard with their swords until his helmet was embedded into his skull. Then his corpse was stripped, his naked body tied like a hog onto a horse, belly up, so as to expose his privates. And then Richard was paraded through the streets of Leicester for all his enemies to look and laugh at. The other man was crowned King Henry VII of England and became the founder of the Tudor dynasty. That is how high the stakes were when these 2 men woke up that morning. Can you imagine the pressure? Can you fathom the fear? Still, both men showed up ready to fight. And when the battle tides turned against Richard, he refused a horse to flee, famously remarking, "God forbid I yield one step. This day I die as a king or win." And these weren't just bold words. Richard backed them up. So I think that's amazing. That concept, and I've always wondered about that. As a soldier, I can kind of I get the idea of going into combat with a team. I understand that your life's on the line. When we jumped out of airplanes, that's probably the closest thing I ever got to feeling death. I remember even being in the airplane before I jumped out and thinking of the Gladiator. And there's a scene, I think, like before the door opens and you can just hear like this, I don't know, it was some sort of weapon being swung, and, just, whoof, whoof, and you can just the intensity, and like guys are throwing up and they're sick or something. And I remember being in the airplane and the door opens, like, and you hear this roar on my first jump, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm jumping out of this airplane. And I had courage to do that, but the odds were in my favor. And I knew I'd be okay at the end, but it was pretty scary to jump out of the airplane. And it wasn't a tandem jump, so you're jumping by yourself, and you've never done it before, so you just hope you're going to be okay. That's the closest I ever came. This is different, okay? Here's 2 young men. They're in their 20s. At least Henry was. I forget how old Richard was. He might have been 30, 28, 30. But they wake up. I don't know how maybe they didn't wake up. They probably stayed up all night. But these are 2 young men. These are 2 great men. They have wealth and privilege their whole life. So you think, oh, they're spoiled brats, but they're not. They come to a point in their life when the next day they'll be a king. That's easy. Everybody wants to be king. Or they'll be dead. And there's a good chance they'll be dead. And they'll definitely be dead, one of them, because they can't let the other guy live, or it could continue it. And not only will he be dead, they'll probably kill his family, at least the males in his family, maybe his sons. And his family will go into exile and be, everything you have is on the line. And not only that, humiliation. They stretch Richard naked. did horrible things, that they paraded him through the streets to mock him. It's probably better that he died maybe before all of that. But he knew what was on the line. And he woke up that morning, he put on his armor, he stepped out onto the field of battle. And I just wonder if we have people like that left. And in this time when evil seems to be triumphing, we need champions. That kind of courage. That say, this might be my last day, and they meet it fighting. They're not hiding, they're not sad, they're ready to fight and die. So I think that's courage. That's what we want. We don't want this kind of wimpy courage that people, this fake courage, and be courageous. And the other day I was talking about this girl, how courageous she was. She was overweight, and she was in a bikini and stuff. And I thought, and that's like the media's, their idea of courage. That was really bold and courageous. Think how silly. Like that, this is courage. Walking onto that battlefield, not even as a soldier, knowing you're the main target, that you're going to die that day, or you're going to be a king. And although Richard ended up losing, I mean, Henry had some gall too, because Henry was 20 years old. He had a very small army, and somehow he showed up, put it all on the line, was willing to die that day. Yeah, we need courageous Christians. And that's why I hate when other people talk about courage and they misuse the words. It's almost like these words have lost meaning, like love and courage or honor. I talk about honor. That's actually what I say in honor. I'm going to reintroduce you honor, because all of these things fall under honor, okay? And people don't know what honor is anymore. Honor is a crown. And I just start out, it's just one sentence, guys. One more sentence. Honor. Okay, that was actually the first sentence. There's a period. 2 sentences. Honor. That word must seem so old and pompous to this MTV generation. And I had to say that because it does sound like an ancient word. And when you use it, you almost sound superficial. You almost sound silly to talk about honor these days. And they understood what honor was. And I don't think we do anymore today. When I heard Joe Biden talk about honor, and sometimes you hear these politicians talking about honor, you're like, dude, you have no understanding. People used to go out and shoot a duel over their honor. Like, they understood how precious honor was. They said, you know what? It's worth my life. Let's go shoot it out. And some would die and kill for their honor. We think, oh, that's such a silly old practice. And I'm going to talk about that. Once you understand what honor really is, you'll get it. You'll understand why it's worth defending. And we talk about these kings. Yeah, our version of the kings in the old days, it's so pathetic because of this day and age, the people who run the world, and they hated the kings, okay? They slaughtered the kings, they took them down, and they're not kings, okay? They're bankers. They hide in the shadows. They're money men. They move their money around. That's how they fight. I love the kings because they used to get on a horse, put on their army, and they led their army many times from the front. Many died in combat. They fighting shoulder to shoulder. Can you think of a politician? Trump seems like a fighter. Can you think of many politicians who go shoulder to shoulder to you in battle, put their own life on the line for their election, their life on the line? We can't think of it. But we've been raised with kind of the whipping boy, that basically the princes were spoiled little brats who were pampered and entitled. And when they became the king, they were these spoiled little party boys, and they were very arrogant, and everybody had to kind of kiss their feet. And you know what I'm saying? The real character was in the working, the peasants, and the not those pompous princely kings, right? You think of like the French and their makeup and stuff and how they're portrayed. But actually, these kings were raised for greatness, great character, because they knew, like, part of being a king, it's not like the days today where a money man hides in the shadows and moves his money around, and he sponsors champions and spokespeople for him, hides in the shadows. Back in the day, like, you led the army from the front. You had the most dangerous job. People think, oh, the king, he's so safe and everybody else is dangerous. No, you had the most dangerous job because everybody wanted you. Everybody envied you. All responsibility rested on your shoulders. That's what a king was. So these kids were prepared. You wouldn't believe how their preparation, what they went through. I promise you, they weren't spoiled. There was a book I talked about before, I think, The Whipping Boy. I had to read it as a kid. And it's so stupid, and it's written by one of them. It's written by those people who get all their books published because it's a new day thing and it's a new philosophy, and it preaches the liberty doctrine. But basically it was about a whipping boy, and he was brought in and he was whipped, and because the king's royal behind, the prince's royal behind, couldn't be touched, so they had to do the whipping boy. Totally false story. I think I've told you what the whipping boy was. If not, I think it's in this. No, it's in the next book, Power. It's a powerful story. But by the way, the princes were absolutely whipped, at least in most of the kingdoms I could see. And they were usually raised by like a monk or something like that. And it was very strenuous. They were very disciplined. It's not what you're seeing HBO portray. They weren't perfect. They were still people. But they were truly raised for greatness. Some of them went astray, but I don't know if I'm there. I don't know if I could walk out and lead my army. I don't know how. I like to think I do. I would be ready, but I don't know. I'm ready for combat. I don't mind fighting an army, but being the head of the army, a champion. You think of the champions back in the day, like David and Goliath. You go out and do single combat in front of everybody. That's different. At least with the army, you got some. If you fall down, you got your brother to pick you up or get you out of there. Single combat. I can't even imagine that. What courage that must have taken. Anyway, that's the book, guys. Character. It's a different kind of character book. I hope you see that just reading that little bit. I'm going to introduce you to the honor, the ancient system of character. And it's going to transport you. All these modern Christian, I see them all the time on Facebook. Oh, you got a book recommendation on disciplining my kid, and I see the book cover and I already know. I just already know. Or you read the thing on Amazon, the description. You already know, like, oh, it's a new age Christian parenting book. And I have a thing on faith. After you read my faith, you'll never look at faith the same. My chapter on faith and how powerful faith is and important that we shape it properly. You talk it today. If you went to your preacher and said, oh, I'm struggling with my faith, like, what should I do? They say, oh, pray and read your Bible. And I'm not trying to make light of those things. Like, one, we don't know how to pray. I don't think anybody actually pray. I've never heard of people praying for hours anymore. I can honestly say I've never prayed for hours, except maybe when I was at selection. It was because I was in a lot of pain. But basically that's it. It's the Bible and it's prayer, and it doesn't seem to be working. I know people, I went to private Christian schools or parents were diligent. And they read the Bible every morning with their kids, and the kids turn 18 and walk away from the faith. That's not enough. You have to understand what faith is. You have to understand how to shape it. It's not merely intellectual. If your kid memorizes the Bible, that's not a guarantee he'll have a great faith. You have to get to the heart. The intellect's part of it, but you have to get to the heart. It's not just reading the Bible. If your kid is struggling with faith, read the Bible. But there's more to it than that. That's going to be a controversial chapter too, because there's so many different versions of Christianity these days. And so some of it will fit you. People try to put me in a box a lot of times. They'll think, oh, well, you said this, and I know what he is. I'm a mixture, okay? I've been non-denominational my whole life. I see merits in a lot of the different Christian versions. I don't think I'm going to share anytime soon my leaning, but I'll say that many of the churches have lost. If you go back and you look at like St. Jerome, you read St. Jerome's teaching, or St. Augustine, these were great theologians. And we barely even touched on St. Augustine at Bible College. We were reading, even there, and it's I love Boise Bible College, by the way. I got great things out of it. We had a teacher, Dr. Beckman, he passed away, phenomenal. Theory of Doctrine, phenomenal classes. But it was interesting because a lot of the books we were reading were modern, like best hits, written by mega church pastors and stuff like that. And they were just kind of still hokey. I remember reading this thing on marriage and family. My next book, Power, by the way, family is one of the powers, so I'm going to reintroduce that. What family is, what marriage is. You'll never see it the same. I was shocked to discover and write what family is, what a marriage is. Just shocked. You've never heard it before. It floored me. It floored my editors. She's like, holy cow, that's incredible. But I remember reading His Needs, Her Needs in a marriage and family class. And it's just this hokey book. It certainly hasn't stopped the tide of divorce, has it? Anyway, St. Augustine, that's a great guy. St. Jerome, that's phenomenal. I read some things on St. Jerome. I'll share someday it was actually, he's writing to this girl, this woman, St. Jerome, early church father. He's actually, I believe, he was the guy who translated the Bible originally into the common tongue, which was Latin at the time. But St. Jerome, he's writing to this mother on how to raise a godly daughter, a daughter up for the church. I think she's going to dedicate this daughter to be a nun or something like that. And some of the things he said, like, you would have never guessed. I couldn't have guessed. After researching all this stuff, I was like, really? Really? He talked about that? That blew my mind. So, but we're never introduced to that stuff, okay? But I'm going to reintroduce some of it in here. This next book, Power, I'm going to reintroduce it. And then the final book, Enemy, we put it all together. So, all right, guys, that's really all I wanted to say, because at this point, I'm just rambling. I hope you guys liked the reading. Let me know if you want a free copy of the book. I'm asking for a review, unless you hate it. You can keep the review if you hate it. But if you do like it, I would love a review on Amazon. Those reviews are like money. It's better than money. If you want to support us and buy it, you have that option. I'm going to give you a free digital copy. You can buy the paper copy when it comes out. As soon as we release the book on Amazon, I want to make it free. I just want you to share the book. It'll be for a few days free in the digital form in Kindle. Probably for a few days. Just get it out. If you want people in this group, we need to grow this group, okay? That's part of it. Allies. You have to have allies. You need people. If you have a son, you need a daughter raised for greatness that he can marry. Vice versa, right? It's getting harder and harder. It's scary. I'm looking all the time. I'm like, who are my kids going to marry? And I have some ideas, okay? But it's scary. There's not a lot of good, strong men or women out there anymore that I'm like, yeah, that'd be a great catch. It's scary. The divorce rate's so high. So you need to grow this group. You need kids raised for greatness. At some point when the site is huge and stuff, I'll review. I suggest your book. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We need more people. Someday I'm going to be like, man, your kid has to be raised for greatness. Did he go through the system? Did you like before you can even get married, does he understand what marriage is? It's scary. So we want to grow this group. You guys invite people. The reason we have invitation only and we keep it as a closed group is because Facebook is shutting people down like us. I'll definitely review. I am from the Philippines. I read your book on education. It's wonderful. Thank you so much, Florence. This one's better. This is better, more important. Character's more important. It's beautiful. It's powerful. And thank you so much. Yeah, and if you guys haven't left a review for the other books on Amazon, please do. That really is the lifeblood. As soon as the reviews trickle up, the book is basically done on Amazon. Yeah, it's really hard. It's really scary when it comes to marriage. My daughter turned 13, and it's scary. I'm like, man, I have some ideas and stuff. We have to grow this group. We really do. Maybe someday we'll have like a networking thing, certification before you get married. Like, were you raised for greatness? But yeah, the reviews, that's like money to me, guys. If you can say something positive, if you don't have anything positive to say, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. That's my philosophy. But if you can say something positive, that review means a lot to me. I look for them. I read every review. If you guys haven't reviewed some of my other books, I highly recommend you do. I really, really appreciate it if you do. And that's what I'm trading the book for, basically for a review, but you don't have to. I can't tell you have to. And most importantly, share it. I don't even care if you share it with a friend for free or something. I don't want to make a ton of money off this. I won't make a ton of money off this. I wrote this book for myself, for my kids, and then for you guys. So that's what's most important. So share it with friends, but do grow the movement. You have to get this stuff out because I think we're seeing the fruition of many years of bad education in this country, and it's scary. It's really scary what's going on out there. We have to start fighting back intellectually, and I don't see that. I feel like I'm the only one, and I'm probably not, and I know that may be arrogant. I feel like I'm the only one. I don't even read modern Christian books anymore. I go back and read the old stuff because the new stuff, I already know what they're going to say. It's all kind of frilly and frumpy, and it's always this I can't even explain it. I just haven't read a good, powerful book in a long time. My editor said the same thing. It's like even Christian novels, Frank Peretti was pretty good, but most of it's just kind of weak and boring, and it's like, it's second rate. It's second rate. You look at our movies and media, it's all second rate. This isn't second rate. This is phenomenal, in my opinion. Okay, I love it. That's what we're doing with Blue Manor. We're going to put the old classics on there, get the best stuff for you guys as kids. You read like St. Augustine or Jerome, some of these guys, you realize like you've entered a different realm. A realm that modern Christians couldn't write. Maybe. I think. I haven't found them. These mega church pastors and stuff, their books, it's just like, it's like a celebrity. I don't know. I can't explain it. It's just not quality. You go back and read it, you feel like you're reading something that's just profound, powerful, inspired, when these mega church preachers, I don't even know if they're inspired. They're like, oh, I got a big enough church, I got a big audience, I can make money publishing this book because these big publishers will publish it. I don't even know if they write their own books. They probably have ghostwriters, and it feels like it. I even just read this book. Trump is not an author, by the way, obviously. I read The Art of the Deal a long time ago when I was a kid. I was so excited about making money and stuff. I was 18 years old. A pretty good book. I think he was more involved. I read a recent book. It was by a ghostwriter. It had nothing to do with Trump. It was like, oh gosh, I think it was on greatness or something, like being great or something. And I couldn't even finish the book. I'm like, man, this is horrible. This is garbage. It was just like everything that you'd expect him to say, like, be bold. And then he would talk about a bold deal he did, but he wasn't talking about it. It wasn't even his language. It was the ghostwriter's language. It was every quintessential example of greatness. It was like Obama and stuff. It was like, I'm sorry, dude. Obama's not a great man. He is a pretty good speaker, and he was put up there, but he's not a guy that leads from the front who'd like charge like a king. He's like a celebrity that was put up there. He's not a great, powerful man. I don't know that Trump is that either. He's not my quintessential example. He's got some good traits. He's got some good leadership trait stuff, but like he's not a king. You know what I mean? Like that just a full body. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. How can I get a digital copy? Okay, so all you have to do is message me here, and then we will message you guys privately and probably send you a digital copy tomorrow as we go through this. So that's a good point. That's coming. I'll show you a way. I'll probably put another link there and just say, hey, comment here. And everybody that comments, my wife will message the digital copy of the book probably tomorrow or the next day. And then if I'm hoping some of you guys are just going to read through this book in a week, and then when I launch the book, you'll be able to get on there and write a review. But don't write the review until you bought the book, but it'll be free for a few days. So you can just download it for free. Then it shows Amazon it's a verified purchase, okay? So then they're like, oh, this person actually did read it, versus me just asking my friends to go on there and give me a 5-star review, which is funny because sometimes my friends are more critical because they're, I don't know. Anyway. All right, guys, thank you so much. I'm done rambling. Have a good week. I'll talk to you next week.